Hey. 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 My name's Eric. I'm making a game. That game is called The Godkiller. The Godkiller Chapter 1. First installment in a series of chapters that tell the story of a woman who is born into a strange afterlife which seems to be disconnected from all pre-existing human mythology. It's a brand new place, new rules. There's things like when you die, you're immediately reborn at the nearest egg. An egg is a thing that you're born from in this world. And if you kill somebody, they get reborn too. And God is a pair of floating hands, and he's kind of a jerk. So yeah, but what are you doing? You solve puzzles, you explore large spaces, you go in 3 dimensions. It's very vertical as well as kind of flat 2D puzzle solving. You know, there's a definite use of that extra dimension there in the puzzles, which makes it fun, and it's very, very fast paced without requiring any reflexes. And maybe I'll demo that. Because that's the hardest thing for people to get. And also it's hard for people to deal with light shining on my balding head. Maybe it's hard for me to deal with seeing that. So, let's turn that off. Just feel better in darkness like this. It just feels comfortable. Maybe I'm a villain in a Batman movie. All right, let's do a demo. Not of new stuff I've done, because it's just hard to demo any of that with any thrill to it, because it's been bug fixing. So bug fixing is kind of boring. Why not this level? Why not this level that I'm on right now? For people that have not played the game, there's going to be a little bit of spoilering here. You'll see some of the level. I will not do a complete solution to the level. I'll just do some of the easy parts. You'll hear some singing. There's a song. It's an interactive song that unfolds as you play through the level. So I'll demo this level. It's one of my favorite in the game. I think it is my favorite in the game, to be honest. I think if I had to settle on just one, this one is my favorite. Oh, but there's another one that I like a lot too. The altar, the hungry altar. Anyways, did I do full screen on it? I hope I did. I can't tell yet, because Unity's locked up until it starts, and then I'll be able to... Nope. Okay, I didn't do maximize unplay. Hold on a second. Just I hit unplay, and then Unity has to load the scene back in, and all this just to click this button here, which I can't click it right now. I have to wait. Okay, you finished bringing that back in, then I'll hit play again, and I will give you a short demo. Okay, so I'm going to be this woman here who's right next to this thing that we've been talking about called the egg, and that's, some people call it a respawn point, but a difference from other games is that the other state of the level doesn't change. You're brought back to here. Okay, commands are pretty simple. You could say up, down, left, right, except this is a 3-dimensional game, so I prefer north, south, west, east.
Fellas, something ain't right. I smell a guest with no invite.
Hey, Chief, you see a thief?
Thief's here, sir. You best believe. Thief don't knock, no, just do as you block, so keep it on lock, yo, watch it like a hawk bro.
Okay, other commands. If you hold down the shift key, it puts those tracers out there, and then you move in the direction you want to go, and you'll fling as far as you can in that direction until you hit an obstacle. So. So that's what I meant by the gameplay is kind of fast. Because you can do things like that. You can move around the level very quickly, but you have as much time as you want for each step you take. I can sit here like this forever. I'm going to go interact with some enemies, and you'll see a little bit more what I'm talking about. This guy here, he's just stuck. He's just stuck on that little platform there. Okay. You can see far up above, there's another guy standing around there. So he's tracking my movement and beelining to my position as well as he can. But he stops after each movement that I make. So everyone's moving one square at a time. Me, one square, one square, one square. Him up there, one square, one square, one square. Let's go up there. Let's go see a little more about him. Okay. So here's what I'm talking about. If I go here, he moved towards me, but he just moved one square. As soon as I take another step, he moves too. So that's it. It's what I call a stepping game, or a stepper. Okay. So I'm going to solve one of the puzzles inside of the overall level puzzle. I'm going to knock this block to the east. It's going to go out of the window that's to the east.
No doors, but we got some windows. Our block's not yours. That's how this life goes. Sleeping when she's creeping, yeah. Don't lose a block. Feel her rising, surprising, doing her devising. T,
I got it.
H, you got it. I
got it.
E,
I got it.
F, for 5. Got in F.
Chief, I got it.
So the 5 beards, that's what I call these guys here, on each floor, they call out their status of, whether they've got the block or not as part of the song. And since this guy up here has the F block, it's still on this floor. It hasn't left the level, or the building inside of the level. In the song, he said, I got it. But if I want him to not have it anymore, and I want the song to do another chorus like that, I can take it from him like that.
She's got a plan, but so do we. Gonna stand right here, wait and see. When she comes up the stairs, look at how she fares. Cross the grass, knock her ass, that's how it would be. D,
I got it.
H, you got it. I
got it.
E,
I got it.
F, for 5. Got in F.
Chief, I don't got it.
See? Doesn't got it. Because I took it away from him. Alright, that's enough of that. If I keep going, I'll just deprive you, the audience member, of a little less pleasure, and I don't want to do that. But yeah, there's like a whole bunch of songs. It's not every single level has got a song with vocals in it. There's 58 levels, and 12 songs with vocals in it. And other levels, they've got music, but it doesn't have anybody singing in it. I really like making these interactive songs. They're hard to do, but I mean, it makes the game something different than other games. And I don't really think competitively. I just like them. They're just fun. I just like them. I'm basically making the kind of game that I want to play. That's the only way I know how to make games. Is just, would this make me happy if it was in the game? If I was playing it, it would. Okay, I'll put it. That's it. Except there's some practical rigor around which tasks I take on, and I don't let the scope get out of hand. I don't end up putting in just whatever I want to, because at some point I say, okay, I want to get this thing released. And we are in just the final 38 days of a game that took 4 years. 4 years for me to write. And I don't mean like 4 years kind of off and on, just when I find some spare time I'll work on. No. I worked at this thing like a second job for 4 years. When I went on vacation, I worked on this game. I took off 6 months this year from any kind of like day job type work that's actually paying the bills just to work on this game. I worked on this game every day in a row for 563 days. And not only did I work on it, but I made some kind of progress on each of those 563 days. I will continue with that streak until it's released, and that'll be January 1st. So the game will be released January 1st. If you are interested in playing it now, there is a demo available now of the first maybe hour or so of gameplay. It's a pretty sizable demo. You can definitely get a taste for it. You can hear some more songs like this one. You can solve some tricky puzzles, and you can do that fun thing where you're flinging around the level in 3 dimensions really fast. It feels nice, I'll say that. It looks terrible in videos at times because it's kind of like a car sickness thing. You don't get to predict as a viewer of the video where the player is going to be next, and the player, she'll just whoop, and she's over there really quick. But if you know where you're going and you press it and you're almost instantly there, just that fast, it feels good. So it's optimized for the player, not for the streamer or the YouTube viewer type person. And I don't care. I've taken my lumps on that one. I've heard the comment many times. It seems like the camera movements are too jerky. I don't think they are. I think they are for videos. I don't think they are for playing the game. I think it feels right. I did make one move towards smoothness though in the camera code recently, which was that if you only move a small distance, like 1 square, the camera will still move quick, but it'll move a little bit slower, so you can see a little bit smoother movement. And there's no penalty in that case for being able to see things quickly. It doesn't have that kind of sluggish, slow response feeling that a very smooth, slow-following camera will have. So I think it's where I want it. Okay. I'm going to move past this demo stage of the stream to Eric getting work done stage. Yesterday, I put together a list of the remaining bugs. And I think I'm going to continue with that tonight. I want to find one that I could probably knock out in 2 hours, and maybe it goes a little bit long because I have bad luck. In that case, that might take me 3 hours or something like that. Because I like to end the stream with success, a little dopamine rush in my brain. It's like, got it done. That's how I like to end these things. I don't like to feel like, I'll come back to this thing that's all messed up later on and I'll do it better next time. No, I like to feel like I got progress done every time I sit down in front of this machine. Yeah, that's how humans are built. That's my way of getting work done on this 563 days in a row. Year and a half. Okay, so let's go look at bugs. I'm going to pick out a juicy one. Since I've already got the pit tower loaded up, I might look for some in the pit tower. There's one, I think I know which one I'm going to try to fix. Okay, first off, I think I could use a filter on the status to remove all the ones that are fixed. Man, I tell you, switching between Google Sheets and Microsoft Excel messes me up a little bit. And even like Excel, there's like 2 different versions of it, the web version and then the native version. All right. I just want to hide all the rows. Hide the rows. Oh, there, this thing. Okay. If it's fixed, I don't want to see it. That's all. Okay. There we go. Yeah, I think I know the one I want. I just gotta find it. Gimbal. Yeah, this one here. This is the one I'm gonna do. This is one that could be pretty easy, or it might be a real pain in the ass, but I'm just gonna take the risk on it. The problem is when I step on this guy here, it will move the camera view out to someplace like this. Like when we were watching it just now when I was demoing, it was making this view. And that part works just fine. But as it rotates into position at the new viewpoint, camera viewpoint, it sort of takes unnecessary rotations to get to that new angle. And what I've heard causes that is using Euler angles inside of the Unity code to perform that rotation. And apparently I should be using quaternions instead. I don't understand quaternions in gimbal locks and all the math of the rotations that well. But the kind of shallow explanation for it is just that quaternions, when you use those, their calculations are more correct when you pick it in between angles between the 2 rotations. Okay, so let me see if I can fix that. Oh, it's terrible. A consequence of my broadcasting is that my screen is now flashing. Will I be able to take that? Will that continue to bother me? Seemed to have stopped. Okay. Huh. Okay. So, let me see. View square. So I said camera util detach camera. And then how it go to that particular target. Is that all the code that's needed? Or is there some other code that's affecting? Let me go look at camera util detach camera and see. Yeah, I guess that is it. Okay. So let's look at this class. Okay. So I had some conversation already about this on my Discord. I'm gonna refer to it. As my buddy Cicada, who gave me the clue on this one. Okay, here it is. Okay, quaternion slurp. Let's look at the documentation for quaternion. Try that. Wow. What if this isn't hard? What if this is not hard? I shouldn't jinx it. Okay. So before I make these changes, let's do something I haven't done in a while, which is kind of scary. Git status. I'm gonna do a commit. Level's complete. That was a big milestone that I just hit for that a couple days ago. Some bug fixes. Okay. Okay, so let me then take one more look at this. Quaternion slurp. Just copy this over. So this will be a number between 0 and 1. Yeah. Oh, it clamps for me. That's good to know. Okay. this little divider in the chat. And that way, if I'm glancing over at my screen, I just see something underneath the divider, then I'll know that that's a new chat without looking at it for too long. Okay. So from, let's see, it's going to be transform rotation, which is a quaternion, is going to equal from, means not where we're currently at, but where we started from. So I can't just use the transform rotation here as a parameter. I need to track the original rotation at the start. Okay, so let's just say that we're going to store from rotation to rotation, and we're also going to need start time minus start target time, and then divided by the move duration. Okay, so these things I have to set up. These things are not going to be used. That's the old code. So when I do the set target, that's where these values are going to get set. So let's say that's quaternion from rotation to rotation. Okay, and then float start. Let's call this set target time. Even better, let's call it target time. Okay. And for consistency, I'll say target rotation. And so I don't have to change a whole bunch of code immediately. I'll do a conversion. New quad this target rotation equals new quaternion, and then can I pass it Eulers? No, but I could do, let's see, exotic uses. This might be it. Euler X, Y, Z. Yeah, that's how you do it. I don't need new. Okay, so that, just to make sure. Yeah, you take a vector 3. Good. Okay. Target time equals now. Oh yeah, from rotation. There we go. So for that, and quaternions get one more parameter. Okay. Sometimes it shows a little line here, and it usually means okay, there we go. Yeah, okay. Okay, so then come back to here. Okay, I want to make sure that detach calls set target. Camera util. Yes. Okay. So that seems right. I give this a 37% chance of working the first time. But I think even with that, I'll likely want to tweak it. 12% chance of it being completely perfect. 37% chance it works, but it needs tweaking. And then whatever the remainder is between will be it not being fucked up and not work handle. Okay. So play. Let's try it. The code changes are simple enough that I didn't start into the debugger. That worked. Or did it? No, it didn't rotate. So it didn't do the fucked up behavior. But it also didn't rotate at all.
Something ain't right.
Something ain't right.
I smell a guest with no invite.
There's no rotation.
Hey, Chief, you see a thief?
Thief's here, sir.
Alright.
You best believe. Thief don't knock, no, just steals your block, so keep it on.
I'm gonna get that song stuck in my head if I can keep it playing like that. So let's not. It's not. Keep playing. Okay. So I've got it muted. Now let's try that. Okay, I want to see from rotation is something. Target rotation is something good. Target time is that. Oh, yeah, real simple. Got it. I just need a parentheses around the elapsed part of this. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to say that the probability of it working went up. I'm going to say the probability went all the way to 52%. So this next run, there's a 52% chance that it's going to work. Although it still may need tweaking. Okay. Worked. Coming back, it did not work. I think that's because I have another place in the code that handles the camera movement coming back to the, what I call the non-detached. Do I call it that? No, that would be a stupid thing to call it. Attached. The opposite of detached is not non-detached, it's attached. Okay, when it comes back to the attached view, there's some other code that would have to be changed too. But going up, it was pretty good. The question is, do I want to fuck around with easing? It's such a short duration. I just don't think the easing is that important for the rotation for these very fast transitions. So I'm not going to worry about easing. How hard would it be though? See if there's just a built-in function that does it. Where would I find it? It would be... I think I looked for this once. I thought it would be in float. Let's see. Unity... float, slurp. Wait a minute. Spherically interpolates between two vectors. No, it's just... It's not a vector. Well, let's look at under float lerp unity. That's the thing that I wanted to do. Okay, it would be in Math F probably. Was have the very start and the very end of movement be a little bit slower, and then increase in speed, so it'd be at maximum speed at the middle. I don't know if these two are gonna be able to kind of drop in real fast like I wanted to. But maybe. Yeah, okay. So I could take my my value between 0 and 1 that I'm currently passing to the quaternion slurp function. I could run it through here, set this from 0 to 1. But then the question I should probably be asking myself is, does this slurp already do easing? Am I just thinking that I have to do easing on top of easing that's already there? So let me just look at the documentation. So if it says that it already does easing, then I don't want to double ease. It's not going to gain me anything. It doesn't look bad now. There's just some part of me in my head that says it needs to be eased. Okay, so this is spherically interpolate. That's the part where I'm spherically interpolates. That, I don't understand what that means. Spherically. I understand interpolate. Alright. Well, it's not that hard to try smooth step. I can put that in pretty fast. So we'll say quote eased ratio equals math f smooth step. And we'll say 0f to 1f, and we will pass in, okay, does it have clamping? Does not say anything about clamping, so let's do our own clamping. Change the order of the parameters between different functions. It's kind of confusing. Okay. Why not be consistent? There might be a good reason. I don't know. All right. So I'll just see if this makes it look better. But it didn't look bad before, that's the thing. If it doesn't make it look better, I'll just take it out and it'll be simpler code. Arguably more performant, but I doubt it'll make a difference. It's just not a lot of work to do to perform that calc. I don't know if that look better or not. That's the problem. I don't think it looks any different. So let's take it out, make the code simpler. I don't mind this variable assignment. Let's just use that. Okay. Next. To make this be simpler code and more performant, I'm going to make the parameter that you have to pass in be a rotation. That will break some things, but I should be able to fix them pretty friggin' easy. So we'll say this. I don't know about this code. This seems off to me. Maybe it should be like that. Okay, let's get rid of that. That's pretty well cleaned up. That's probably good there. Now let's see what broke. Okay, that's one thing that broke. What else broke? It said 3 usages. So I'll come back over to here. This one. it is late in development, super late, and I'm very motivated not to change much code where possible. So I thought briefly, maybe it's more efficient to create a quaternion here instead of Euler vector 3, but I'll be changing more code. I'm more likely to fuck something up. And this is not code that gets called again. It's not code that needs to be performed. It's called one time. So, trying to make decisions like that where I can. Now, camera util. Detach camera, attach camera. Detach camera mover, find self. Camera mover, find self. Okay, so there's going to be camera mover code. Okay, this was a good change. I get to leave it in. Okay, so what sets the target? Okay, I need to see player left view square effect or player exited. Yeah, exited view square effect. So it's just attach camera, which I was already looking at. Attach camera. Calls enable cameras, and it passes the two cameras there. Okay, nothing too magic here. So no target setting is done by attach camera. It merely enables the camera mover. The target would have been set here, I think. But there's that target Euler, which is what I care about. Yes, keep that. Keep that. Works great. Okay. All right. I feel like a little dehydrated or something. I'm gonna grab a quick drink. I got a bad habit of drinking only coffee and alcohol. Back to it. Got some seltzer water here. No caffeine in it, no alcohol. Just water. carbon dioxide, and fruity essences. Alright. So I want to know what is how is the target rotation set in this class? I think I saw something down here. Okay, transform Euler angles. Okay, target Euler gets set someplace, so let's check out that. Starts out at 0, 0, 0. Okay, find best camera position. It's going to return a target Euler. Now this code, on the other hand, gets called every frame, almost every frame. So I do want to take some care about introducing sluggishness. So back to our friend camera util. Let me close some of these that I know I'm not going to need to look at. Okay. Find best camera position. Find best camera position. That's it. Okay, so for this we want some constants for the two angles. And this doesn't have to be much different. It's one of those nice places where you can just change a variable and then the compiler highlights all the places for you that you also need to change in order to prevent errors. So I renamed two variables. That causes all kinds of syntax problems. But if I just fix all of those, kind of going up the chain until there's no more, then I'll be fine. Okay. Euler. Okay, that's out vector 3. Let's do out quaternion rotation. Okay, rotation equals this is some code that picks the best viewing angle for the camera. I'm just going to look for any mention of Euler in this file. I think there's just oh, this is a weird one. Oh, okay. I see. So I used this to return a quaternion and multiplying it by a vector 3 returns a vector 3. Okay. That is code that was working. I don't need to question it much. Just trust a past version of myself that I did that right. Okay, now come back to camera mover, which has fresh compliance. And we just keep on following the syntax errors. Okay. I feel much better after drinking that bit of seltzer. I should be like a doctor or something. Give health advice. I don't know if this threshold is correct. Okay, what also what okay, that's fine. I have to make another one of these. Okay. But you know what? I used is same on the other one. I almost feel better about using that again here. Let me just do is same. Okay. Okay, this has to change. So for this, what I want to do is exactly what I did previously. So I want from rotation. Target rotation. Move ratio. Okay. Rotation. Okay. float from rotation. No, float move ratio equals time minus target time divided by active move duration. Okay. I always want to change that to ration, but I mean ratio. Okay, so then I need to be able to set target time and from rotation. This, I'm going to delete it. Okay, so where is target rotation set? Right here. So update camera target, we say god damn it, what? From rotation. Float target time. What? It's my wife trying to send me nice things and I'm getting grumpy. Okay. I hate losing my train of thought just because somebody texts me. And I've only got one sound for my wife's text that I actually pick up and check. If it's somebody else, it's got a different sound, and my brain is trained to just like filter it out. I'll see it when I see it. But my wife's sound, my ears always pick up. Because sometimes she's asking for help with something, and it's kind of sad in some ways. I love my wife, but then like I'm sort of trained that when this sound plays, like it's almost like a bad thing. But that's only true when I'm like just really trying to concentrate. Okay, target time equals right now from rotation equals transform rotation. Okay, so this isn't particularly dry. Don't repeat yourself as far as coding practices go, but as I explained earlier, this is not a good time to be refactoring a whole bunch of code, chasing after stuff like that. Rotate velocity, also not being used here. Yank that out. Okay, so that has got some chance of working. So this one, I'll have to test it a fair amount in this session to make sure I didn't introduce some kind of problem, because it's a pretty large change to something that's been working as expected for a long time. Let's hope I have good luck on this. I didn't introduce some kind of bug. In worst case, I would make a separate camera movement routine for just this view square action coming back from it than the camera movement routine that's used for putting the camera over the player as it's attached. Let's see. So it's still basically working now. Let's go someplace where it... Okay, there we go. There's the tilt. So far, so good. I might be getting away with this. I got it. Okay, let's try this one. I love it. All right, now it's time to do some testing to look for some problems. So I'll mess around this level just a little bit. Looks good. That really looks much better than before. Alright, so the other things I should be checking. The restore screen. That looks like it's doing just fine. I can turn the volume back on. I'll check out this level in a second. Oh, a thing I did last night, I brought the contrast down on the black and white. Well, basically I made the white be gray instead of white because I didn't want to cause an epileptic seizure if someone viewed that in the white and black with the high contrast alternating at certain frequencies could perhaps trigger a seizure from what I've read. So I fixed that. Let's go check this out. Long load time on this level. Which is on my bug list to look into. It shouldn't load that. It shouldn't take that long to load. And also there's a progress loading callback.
Could there be spires and towers? You'll climb them for hours. How the stairs will wind. All the secrets you'll find. Could there be dark little holes and yawning abysses? Would that earn me your praise? Your fawning and kisses? Could there be creatures around? Your brothers and sisters, goodwill to be found. Everyone fits here, it's my world. You're invited once you're here. Be delighted, it's my world. You're invited once you're born. You're inside it, it's my world. You're invited once you're here. Be delighted, it's my world. You're invited once you're born. You're inside it.
It's the very first level of the game. Seems okay to me. Okay, let's check out this other case. So I'll go through the second level. I don't like that, but is it worth fretting over? That would have been there before. Thinking, what would the solution to that be? Yeah, okay. I mean, I get it. The check that is done for camera positioning is raycasting from a certain angle to see if it will make it to the player from that angle. And it will choose an angle based on that. And more than that, not just the angle, it'll choose the positioning of the camera, like it'll duck it under. It'll duck the camera angle under if there's like something obscuring the view. But in truth, the camera view is not obscured from this position. The camera view of the player is not obscured from this position, but it goes through another surface. So you get that kind of cutaway thing. I wish there was just a real simple, elegant way to just always have the camera be outside of objects and not be partially inside of them.
Hello. It's okay. It is okay. It's okay, okay? It is okay.
Stay away.
It is okay. It is okay.
Your hands?
I am God. You are M.
What is this place? Did I die?
Yes, you died.
This is heaven?
No,
Hell?
it is someplace new, made for you.
I died. How did I?
Welcome to your paradise.
This is... I don't get it.
Stay forever, M. All will be provided. I ask but one thing.
Uh-huh.
Never go to the room east of here.
Which way is east?
But if you do go there, do not eat the apple of infinite travel. Stay, and I will tell you something. The story of John.
Sure.
John begat John Jr. of Mary, and John Jr. begat Robert of a different Mary, and Robert begat James of Mary, a third Mary, different from the previous two.
Wait.
And James begat Michael of a fourth Mary, Mary from Chicago, not Mary from Wilsonville. And Michael begat Theodore of Lisa, and Theodore, the gas station manager, begat Jacob and his brethren. And Jacob begat Noah of Emily, and Noah begat nobody. He was unpopular. I have more.
I'm not ready for more.
Oh. Let me know when you are. Do not go that way. I was very clear.
I guess there's some story spoilers here, and I won't ruin it. Or I won't ruin it any more than I did. However, this is like the first 5 minutes of the game I've showed. Probably less. Oh, that seltzer was good. Magic seltzer. Healing powers. Okay, so that bug is fixed. And I was worried about it getting hairy. I was worried. So if I just come over to... Let's see, how do I do the thing where there's like... that? Yeah, like that, okay. Okay, so status. Let's say fixed. Also, why is that green? Oh, because I did this. There we go. So yeah. Cool. Well, that was a medium-sized bug. was a medium-sized bug. I feel like I should pick one more bug. So the question is, do I want to give myself an easy bug, or do I want to give myself another medium-sized bug? Well, I'm all in the camera stuff. So while I'm still doing that, why don't I fix another medium-sized bug or feature request, you could call it. There's these things called, I've been calling them grates. I realized the better name for them is catwalks. So I think I'll start calling them catwalks. There's these catwalks, and they have metal. It's easier just to show you. Let's go to a level. It's got catwalks. So the camera is currently ducking underneath of these catwalks. But since you can see through them, a much nicer experience would be to have the camera treat them as non-obstacles. So if I go to, let's see, what is a good one? One that doesn't have a lot of stuff that takes a long time to load in. Glimpse fold, maybe. That's got a whole bunch of story stuff in it though, so I'm not going to do that one. Let's just go to a test level. I don't have to worry about spoiling things for people. Test stairs, and I will just put okay, I'll be right back. Bio break. Put it on status. Oh, let's put on the holy algorithm. Back. Okay. On the catwalk. I'm getting kind of tired of the same layout here. Let's just delete some of this stuff. let's add in some grades, catwalks. Okay, and just so I have another test case, I will make another set of grades that come up over here. Okay, so start out by just showing the current behavior. So there's a little tilt shift there. It's not too bad. The one where it sucks is when you come over to this one. Then the camera goes way the fuck down underneath. And if you're just kind of walking like this way, then it's very jarring. It's very jarring. And there's no reason for that camera to duck down because you can see the player underneath the grate. You can see her. So that's why the camera ducks down, is because it thinks that the view is obscured. So there are two kinds of ray casting that I do. One is to figure out where the floors and ceilings are, and the catwalks, they count as floors. I'm able to step on them because they've been detected in advance as floors. I don't rely on the colliders at runtime to say what's a floor or what's an obstacle or what's a wall. So this wall here is detected with ray casting at one point in time, and then there's data structures that represent where all the floors and ceilings are, and that's what I look at when the player's moving around. I don't look at geometry intersections and shit like that. So it's more performant. It allows me to do things like these squares around the player, they're predictive. There's 4 separate instances of the game that are running to determine what would happen if the player moves north, south, west, or east. And if I come over to here, it says if you move east, you're going to die. This is a pretty simple thing to just check. Are there spikes there? Okay, that would mean you die. But because the ways that you could die or get pushed are so complex, running 4 instances of the game and just updating each one with the results of moving. Hey, see, how's it going? And updating the results of movement for each of them is a much more reliable way of predicting what will happen when you move into a square. So anyways, that was 2 rabbit holes I went down there. Let's say what the other thing is that ray casting is used for. So ray casting is used, like I said, to kind of map out the level and where the floors and ceilings are. The other thing it's used for is camera positioning. So I need a different set of masks for the two things. For floor detection, I need masking that includes the catwalks. For camera positioning, I need masking that excludes them. So I want the camera detection or the camera placement raycasting to just shoot right through this grate. But for finding like the floors and stuff, I want it to to treat the grate as solid or a point of collision. Okay. So let me write out my design on this. It's the kind of thing I want to think through and not do it by trial and error. So grates, they've got default layer. And I've got ignore raycast. Which is when I don't want, I was saying floor detection, the other word for that is depth scan. When I don't want either depth scan or camera placement to be affected by that object. It seems like I need another layer called ignore camera placement. How many layers can I have? I'll just add one. Oh, these are the reserved ones here, and you can just keep on adding. Okay. So let's see. Ignore camera. Alright, I said I was going to write out a plan for this before I started doing it. So far I'm doing a crappy job with that. So, but I'll go ahead and save this. Okay. So, let's write out my plan. I can either put this in my bug list or I can just fix it real quick. Let's fix it real quick. That's a tangent, but it won't take me long. Okay. Sometimes you put cheat codes to help yourself and they just stick around. And I don't really like having cheat codes in my games. Might be fun for some people to discover it, but yeah. Okay, so that's done. Okay, all this stuff I can delete. It was all related to that one level. Okay, so now let's see. The new thing is Describe the problem. Rex. Depth scan works as before. Camera placement will not duck under Catwalks, my new name for them. I was calling them grates. Catwalks. Okay, that's basically it. Those are my requirements. So the first solution, I may only just plan out one, but sometimes I like to do multiples. First solution is add new mask layer, ignore camera placement. Assign ignore camera placement layer to grates. Another cool thing I can do with this is make transparent floors, like glass floors too. That would be a neat thing, although I'm not going to do it today or maybe even in this release. But I like being able to have that. Okay, assign to grates. Okay. In depth scan code, the mask should, the raycast mask should be default or ignore camera placement. In camera placement, raycast mask should be default or ignore depth scan. Yeah, I think that's right. Also, this seems like the clear solution. I don't think I'll need to do anything else. But I did kind of think of one other one in the back of my head that I'll just jot down real quick. Number 2, assign ignore raycast to Catwalks. And add, do they already have a component for them? Okay, add grate discovery component or a catwalk discovery component that will add walls to height map. Okay. I don't think it's as good, but I think the number one solution is the one to do, but I just wanted to jot this down in case this has some really terrible problem with it. I've got a plan B basically. But the bad thing about this is it has more runtime work to do as opposed to edit time work. So with my depth scanning, it's all done in edit time and is saved inside of a little file that's loaded in, and there's no need to raycast to find where everything is when you start up. It just loads in that little file which has the pre-processed information. Okay, so I'm going to investigate this part here. So if I go into the depth scan code, I think I should see that it's only looking for default. Let me check that. Okay, layer mask. That's right. Okay. Now the other one, I want to verify it is as I expected it to be. Okay, that's camera util. Yeah, okay. So this one is default and ignore depth scan. So this also tells me that I can use the same kind of code to combine two things together, and that's the right way to do it. So let's just bring that over here. Ignore camera placement. Okay. I don't know why you gotta... Oh, really? That's kind of cool that the IDE would pick up on this. Let me see what I maybe messed up. Oh, you know what I think it is? I think I actually have to set some of those. Okay, but let's do it in here. Let's do it in here. Ignore camera placement. Yes. 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 We need to change the children in general. The children are not okay following their given nature. Change the children. Starting a foundation. It's all about changing the children. Making them quieter. Less smelly. More compliant. Change the children. Okay, so now let me save. Cicada. Well, Unity asked me if I want to change the children, and I say yes, I do want to change the children. I definitely want to change the children. I actually just got done about 20 minutes ago successfully implementing some of your advice. Successfully. You have a good track record with your advice, buddy. I'll demo it to you in a moment. Alright, so these should all have, yeah, ignore camera placement, ignore camera placement. Good. Okay. This guy is, I'm impressed that the IDE is actually calling out that the layer is not defined, but it's wrong. In this case, it is defined. So it's probably just some files that are cached or something inside of its memory. I don't think it's going to screw up the build. Let me just double check. Ignore camera placement. All initial caps. Is that the same? It is. Okay. So let's see if I have the result I want. first off, just want to see. If the ray casting, yeah, the ray casting picked up these as floors, so that code continues to work. Let's turn that off. It's obnoxious to keep on the screen all the time. Yeah, I had stuff that was not really good for streaming to do. I had a lot of stuff that was story related, music editing. It was just all spoilers, or it was just, you just never want to do audio editing on stream. That's obnoxious. I don't know who wants to watch somebody edit audio. I would have gotten negative 700 viewers. Not that I'm worried about viewers. It's more like if there was somebody like, say, you, that liked to kind of hang out for a bit, and I'm always editing, then eventually you would just like run away from me. But whatever. Let's see. Okay, that's the other result I wanted. Yes. Okay. So I wanted the camera not to duck underneath the catwalks, and it no longer does, which is wonderful. Because you can see the player fine. It's not like this over here, the camera needs to duck under because you won't be able to see the player otherwise. Okay, the other test is, can I walk on it? Yes, I can. So my other ray casting, which detects where the floors are, works perfectly well, just as it did before. Okay. Oh, that's awesome. That makes me real happy. Getting a lot of progress done in this session. Okay, so let me demo the thing that you actually helped me with. So we'll put in this thing called a view square. Okay, the way view squares work is that you can define a view that you want the camera to be at when the player steps on that view square. So we'll say, well, let's do one where we just look right at this dude over here. That's kind of fun. Okay, then we say just align with the view. Okay, so this game object is now positioned right where the camera is. So what was happening before was that the rotation was doing this gimbal lock thing and picking a really strange circuitous route to rotate to what should be a pretty small angle to get to. And then your suggestion was just don't use Euler angles, use quaternions. And implement that. Now I'm scared because maybe it's gonna fuck up now. No, did it right. So yeah, that's the end of that bug. So yeah, it's really nice to fix these bugs that have been, like, they've been with me for months and I've known they were there, but my project required me to do other things first before fixing them. All the levels play from beginning to end, with all the audio and all the music and speech and everything. So I had to get all that done, and then I returned to the bugs. So project's in great shape. I've just got not a small amount of bugs, but a very reasonable amount to fix. So I get to come over here and remove a few bugs. I would never remove you, sir. What's been going on with you? You into any projects these days? Which you have to refresh my memory, because you were you had maybe a few different things going on earlier, or I might be confusing you with somebody else. What was your game again? Oh, okay, that's right. Yeah, you were into the VR stuff. Yeah. Let me see. What was it? Quaternion. That's the way to find it. Or maybe not. This one is fixed. I think there's one other bug in here that referred to it. I'll just look through here a little bit. I might ask your advice about something else in a second. Oh, it was Glimpse Fold. That's why I wasn't finding it. It was Glimpse Fold. That's where the problem was. Okay. Glimpse. Fold. Ah, screw it. I'll see it when I see it. Problem is I did not make any effort at cleaning up this text when I put it in. It's kind of copy and paste from the Discord. So it's a little bit hard to find stuff. Okay, so the question I had is there's some people that have low-end computers, or maybe hardware that's not great for the game or whatever. What is an easy set of options, like in settings, to add that would allow people with computers that are struggling, hardware that's struggling, to maybe get back into a playable state? Like, for example, it seems like maybe the screen size might be a good one. Like if I can... That's true. That's true. Alright, I'm gonna start up. Okay, let me write that down. Post-proc settings. Depth of field, contrast, or actually saturation. And then my shader, my beloved shader, outline shader, which I don't ever want to turn off. But maybe it's like something that makes it work on a lower end machine. I mean, I could almost just make all those settings be up to the user. Do you want depth of field on or off? Do you want saturation, color fixing on or off? What do you think about screen resolution? Is it a practical thing to just have a setting and then you yeah? It makes me nervous to include it because it makes me think somebody will change the screen resolution and cause some other problem on their system, and they'll say my game is buggy and it screwed up their system. Because like when other software changes my screen resolution, there are different problems that I have with different apps. They've got like maybe some stuff in memory that isn't set up correctly for the new screen size or something like that. I don't know. Well, let me see. So if I go to stats and here, okay, let's just yeah, I had done like I can't remember if it was set it to forward rendering or set it away from forward rendering. That was actually a large improvement. And I'm using a fair number of lights, so I'm not using baked. Whatever that setting was related to forward rendering. Yeah, I did make that change, and it was dramatic. Like 4x faster in some cases. So I think that change is already made. Let me play with those post-processing effects, get some idea of what the experience might be. So I'll just play it without it maximized, and I'll tweak the settings as I go, and I'll bring the stats up. They're plenty fast, but let's see if I can get them faster. No, not my outliner. Okay, I guess my outliner doesn't affect the frame rate very much. Good. Yeah, I kind of like don't want to expose an option that only gives a slight performance update at the expense of making the game look a lot worse. So I'm more inclined to just find the ones that actually matter. Okay, let's turn off bloom. And that's negligible. Render time is at 1 millisecond. CPU is at 3.5. So how do you interpret that? Like what does that tell you? When CPU usage is very high? Okay, if I'm combining draw calls, then I'm guessing that means like combining geometry or reducing the number of textures used, or combining textures into like larger textures and using like UV mapping to no, I'm not gonna do it. Not in this one. Maybe in the next release. I'm 38 days from my release date. I don't want to do anything that dramatic. I do love this post-processing stuff if it is based on shader instead of material. Yeah, I need to learn about that. That might be a chapter 2 consideration. Let me just at least capture these things. Because almost everything you say is gold. You've got a real good track record. Okay. So, long-term ideas. Go to URP. And you say, because it does draw calls based on shader instead of material. Okay. And then the batch count is what you're saying is the big deal. But it's late dev days on that. It's late development for that, and that's definitely a long-term one. Reduce batch calls. Simple combined geometry, textures, or materials, textures, same thing. Okay, let me keep fiddling with this stuff. Okay, let's turn off. Depth of field is turned off. It doesn't really do too much. Color grading, bloom. Could just turn off everything. So I turn off everything. It just doesn't make much of a difference. Like maybe if it went from 280 to 300. Yeah. I get you. Yeah. Okay. All right. What do you think about this though? Because I have seen, like, even on my own system, like this system right here, which is pretty high up. If I have my screen set to something with lower resolution, it will run significantly faster than like the full higher resolution. So my thought is, I don't want to, this late in development, put that kind of setting inside of the game. But I could just simply say, to users, like in an FAQ or something, or some kind of written notice, if it runs slow, just change your screen resolution lower. And Steam players, they're so pissy about everything though. Just picture the most annoying users all the time. Like, I just want to beat up on them. Depth of field, you're saying. Okay, so let me take a look at this link that you just dropped. See if I can get in there without it being a big deal. Mute that. Asset store that. Okay. Let's add that to the long-term side. See this tool. Hey, you are in the game credits, but no, sir. No. I have to make small changes. If I run this, like, this game has gone through so much testing, and it's gonna pack textures together into single thing. Stuff could break. Nah, I've only had. It's not just. It's not just the amount of time for trying it and reverting it if it doesn't work. It's the amount of testing to make sure that on a multitude of systems, across all the levels, where everything is, like the whole game, all the places, did some kind of problem get introduced. So I'm not willing to add that in for this final stretch. No, you've not steered me wrong, but you've had some ideas that were probably correct, but like it would have, for me, been risky or a large undertaking, and I already had something that was 95% there, so I stuck with the old way, which is probably not as good as your way. I think right now about one user in 30 has that shitty laptop, or at least I don't want to be judgy about their whatever laptop they've managed to get their hands on. I think about one user in 30 right now is like, it doesn't work for me. And I think they really do have pretty friggin' old laptops. Or pretty underpowered, like, you know, Chromebook type things, netbooks, stuff like that. Laptops that weren't really designed to do anything. Yeah, like $200, $300 laptops. I've not heard anyone complain that seemed to have more reasonable kind of gaming computers. I went out and bought 2 years ago a cheap $400 laptop, and the game runs magnificently on it. Like better than the iMac. It kills the iMac. The iMac, supposedly it's, this really fancy piece of technology, but just a really cheap Windows laptop beats the crap out of it for playing games anyways. I think I'm okay. I was looking for easy stuff, not risky stuff, if I could provide it. But I think maybe I might do like the depth of field. Now, why did you say depth of field was so important? What was it about depth of field that you were saying like that's the one you definitely want to have? I think that's what you said up above. Yeah, you said you for sure just need the depth of field option. Okay. I don't mind including that one because I can also see that some players might actually have a preference to see the screen without that depth of field blurring. I don't think it'd be a good default option. But I'll explain the rationale for it. It looks bad in some cases, like one that we just showed. But let me explain the rationale. Turn the stats down for a sec. Okay. This isn't the best level to demonstrate it. Okay. So because the nature of this game is there's always these walls kind of coming up really high up above you, your eye will naturally go to details on these objects that are closer to you visually. But the game actually wants you to be focused in the area where the player is at. So there's a visual thing where I'm trying to get the player not to focus on these sort of distracting things that are closer to them. Do I have it turned off right now? Yeah, that's if I turn that. No difference. Sometimes this thing gets kind of wonky on me. That could be interesting. Let's write that down. Use desaturation instead of depth of field to move player focus to midfield. Okay. Yeah, let me go to a different level. It's got like some higher walls. Okay, another question I was gonna ask you, real simple one. And I'm not asking you to put your real name on the stream. But I'm not sure if I've got the name you want for credits. If you want to be Cicada Forest, that's what I'll put in the credits. If you want... Oh, is it? What a cool fucking name. Oh, okay. I thought you had like some hippie parents or something. Okay, I got it. No, it's all good. Whatever name you want in the credits, that's what I will put there. Cicada Forest works perfectly fine. Okay, let's go to a different level that's already got like some high walls and stuff. Deep corridor, that would do it. It is pretty fucking deep. Oh, did I do maximize? I did not. Okay, let's do maximize on play. Yeah. Okay, so this is the example, right? I have, that's a whole rant. I did start with baked. If I were going to do baked, I would come up with, I would use a third-party system or something. I just hate Unity's baked lighting. So I end up with real time. But basically there's all these situations here where the wall is right close to I think I heard somebody else say that too. But basically when the wall is up here and there's situations like this all the time, then I want the player's eyes to be able to relax and not have to feel the need to pay attention to that. And that's why that fog is there a lot.
He used to be much kinder. Who?
Okay. Alright. So I feel like I could do one more bug. It's like playing blackjack. If I pick a bug that goes beyond a half hour, I might go Mr. Meeseeks and get a little bit crazy about getting it done. So I'll pick one I feel pretty confident. Thanks on the music, yeah. Got all the music in the game. Is like 30 songs. 12 of them with vocals. I could definitely see doing that. Okay, there's one other thing that might keep me from going baked. Level editors for users. So runtime level editors. So the need there would be that a player could create a level with walls and stuff, and it wouldn't be created at edit time inside of Unity. It would be created at runtime inside of a distributed level editor. So you'd say, have baked lighting on the official levels, and then like the ones the players make, yeah, it's okay. They don't have to look as good. Well, they could use real-time lighting. Yeah, I've seen ambient occlusion effects. Those do look good. All right, so let's pick one more bug. I think I'm going to pick one of the ones I've marked out as easy. Yeah, this one might just go away real fast. Let me go check it. Like, I think it's not even possible to get to the place that he's talking about anymore. So let's open Plundy Paths. I got so angry with the banking stuff. I think that was right around the time when I said, you need to stop ranting. You need to just start making that part of your mind that automatically goes to ranting. Not be so prominent. But I would do these tests. I'd say, okay, forget my levels. Let's just create a test level from scratch. Just a small number of things in it. My 2019 or 2020 iMac. Go ahead. Let's see how long it takes to bake. Oh, okay, 40 minutes. And then there would just be like these seams, and I'd mess around with the geometry to try to get all the geometry perfect so that it wouldn't make any seams. And even then there'd be some little artifact someplace. I'm like, fuck it. There's no way this is tenable. Yeah, that's it. So whatever experiment you're running to try to...
That bird is so large it could tear me to shreds.
To learn how to do it the right way. Like each one of those experiments to learn something. 30 minutes. Yeah. Yeah, there's probably some reasonable. Yeah, it's so much tweakery and... Okay, I think I fixed this already. I just made it so that that might have helped. Okay, so I fixed this by just making there be a big collider over all of the squares around him. That means you can't walk behind him and have his tail intersecting with you and looking bad. So that one's fixed already. Okay, so this one is fixed. Yes, it was. So the way that works, there is a callback that plays on the beat. And that callback, anything can register. Anything in the game can register for that callback, and then they say, let's do something when we get that callback. And this guy has this code I wrote called a dance controller, and depending on what the move is that he's doing, it will play the animation with a Animancer. Thanks for that little improvement to my life. And it'll always start on the beat, and there's like these beat cycle things which allow me to tweak it a little bit. But yeah, I switched to Animancer when I was getting into the dance animations. Oh, I wish I switched much earlier. I wish I started the project with it. It was so much better. That visual programming stuff with the animation controllers in Unity, it seems like it's going to be spiderwebs. That's a good way to put it. Yeah. Spiderwebs, complex and fragile. Just like a spiderweb. Yeah, it seems like it's going to make it all simple. No. Not if you write code. I suppose like if you don't really write code and you're gonna try to figure out how to do everything visually inside of Unity, does anybody do that? Does anybody just make games in Unity with purely visual programming? Seems like eventually you'd run into a brick wall. Yeah, I suppose there's also kits too. Like if you get something off the asset store that's like almost a working game, but there's just a few things you tweak to it. Wow. I don't trust it. It's just a matter of time before there's a black box that does not do what you want, and you won't be able to say what you want and have it be done like you can with a programming language. So I don't know, but to each their own. I suppose some people are having success with it. Yeah. Anyways, let's see. Yeah, the one thing I wouldn't mind doing some of that visual programming with, or at least trying it, is the shader programming. So I've just heard good things about what is that shader editor thing that's built into Unity. Yeah, chaining audio effects. Good stuff. Yeah, anything where there's like a series of inputs and outputs, and you can chain them together. That seems like a good application for visual programming with those flowcharts and everything. But for logic, we're doing different things in different situations, and if it doesn't have that kind of flow from left to right, then I'm more skeptical about it. Input to output, it seems to be smart. Me too. I'm not good at it, but I did get that outline shader done. I still kind of get into little places with shader programming where I'm just feels like my brain is breaking a little bit. I feel like I could get good at shader programming if I just said I'm going to block off like maybe 3 months. 3 months. Just don't do anything else. Just write shader code. At the end of it, I think I would be pretty proficient, but there still might be a thing like there still might be a thing kind of like when you switch between languages, like you'll get rusty. It'll like a spoken language, like say you're bilingual and you know Spanish and English, and then you just immersed in Spanish for a while, and then you switch to English and you're just like, oh, whoa, you're doing Spanish for like years and years, living in a different country, and you switch back to English and you're like, oh, my brain isn't working right. That's a little how I feel about shader programming. Just the different ways you have to think when you're coding. Yeah. Alright, let's see. I feel like I could do another bug. It's kind of like if I'm playing blackjack, I just drew a 2. So this is... Which one? Oh, that one was fixed. Okay, this one might be another real simple one. This might be a 2 also. Destroying the east defense makes the game think you're blocking and spawn. Let's go check that out. Ooh, this could be a 2 or it could be a jack. This one is risking my whole psychology on it to go look at it. Because I don't have it in me to fix a bad bug. Just a little one I could do. Or confirming it doesn't exist I can do. This level is called Pair. Pair, there you are. Not cheat my way past the main part of the level, but I will solve it really fast so I can just get to this other area. If anyone happens to be watching and they're like, I don't want to have level solutions spoiled for me, I will spoil a level solution here.
Why are people standing up there?
Finished.
Whoa, how did you do that?
You were watching me the whole time. Bye. I'll leave the bridge up if anyone else wants to go.
No, we're all staying here.
Okay, so what did he say? He said, found a bug in the repair room. Destroying the E through the fence makes the game think you're blocking its spawn. So I think he means this one. Oh! Good bug, buddy. Huh. I don't think... Huh. Man. I'm just trying to think in my head why that could work that way. I mean, I can go in the debugger and see what it's doing. Huh. So I destroyed the R. It waits one turn to respawn. I think that's what's happening. It doesn't have to do with me being next to it. Okay. So is it really about going through the fence? Or is there something else going on here? So if I put this down here, it won't be through the fence. Okay, it went immediately that time. Yeah, I've got a bug for that. Because when the camera ducks down, it thinks you're in the area where it should be blurry, basically. Okay, so here, if I destroy it through the fence, it doesn't respond immediately. It just takes one extra turn. So let me think. Why does it work that way? I think I might have to use the debugger. This is one of those dangerous bugs that I might have to work on partway through tonight and not do it all in one session, which I hate. But I'll make a good effort. Okay. Yeah. Maybe it's only like a 9 or an 8. I get done right at 8 p.m. That would be awesome. Can't block util. Is that the one I used? Let's go. Peace. Okay. So it's going to be walk util, walk, okay. Okay, I think it's because it's going through this code, which uses this idea of touching a piece instead of this other code, which assumes you're going to walk into the square, and then while you're walking, you will push things if they happen to be in the square you're walking to. So here you were blocked. Thanks, fella. Yeah. It's good talking to you. Okay. So let me check my understanding. So I think this will be touch. Did the touch change the board? Not yet. So this is, what is this? New call, new row. Don't think it'll go through this branch. Oh, I'm wrong. So touch height is not Okay. Okay, so that one did change it. Let's see. Yeah. Don't like going into dictionary data structures. Alright, but that's almost certainly what would have caused the block to be destroyed. Update the letter gates. I don't think it can walk in that way. I think it's going to exit out here. Okay, so that part's fine. It's a good quick test. Now, my other part of the assertion is that there's different code that'll run when it's not going through the rail, when you're not pushing through the rail, and that code will be this code here. So I'm going to test that assumption. Okay. I would also like to know if the code up here actually causes the push to happen. Okay, so let's try that. False, okay. What about the next one? Oh yeah, so that first one was O layer, now we're on the M layer, which is where the block would be. There's the block. Okay, it does have a touchable piece. So let's see what happens in this case when it gets touched, because it is a touching that pushes it. I think I was wrong about the difference in the two cases being the earlier code I was looking at. Okay, this is inside a block piece. DH will be 0, so it's going to go to push flat. Wait one step for birth. What's the difference here? Oh. Oh. Got it. Got it. Okay. So the problem is this: wait one step for birth. And my definition of what a step is. If the player is not able to move because of the rail, and it doesn't count as a step, and the block is waiting to be reborn until the player steps. That's the difference. Okay. I understand the problem. The fix could be super convoluted, and I don't want it to be. So in general, whenever the player pushes against a wall or an obstacle and is unable to move, I don't want it to count as a step, because if I did, that would allow the player to kind of pause or wait in place and use that to manipulate other game elements to move. And it's part of the game balance to not allow the player to do that. It is important for Chapter 2, where combat is featured more heavily, almost non-existent in this game. Chapter 1. In Chapter 2, you must not have the ability to wait in the square. You always have to make a movement. So that rule is in place here to preserve that good fighting feel that I set up pretty carefully. The trouble is that the block is waiting for one step to occur before it will respawn. So let me think of some potential solutions. I'm going to leave it in a debar. No, I don't want to. Let's hit play. I totally understand the problem. It's not that bad of a bug. So like I could say it won't fix on this one. It's kind of like, who cares? What? So you just have one extra step and then it pops in. Feels like a bug though. Okay, so let me think of some solutions. And I am willing to say won't fix on this, but because I do need to keep a good pace on this. If I cannot fix this by 8 o'clock or 8:05, 8:07, I'm going to let it go. I'll say won't fix. Unplay. Stop playing. Okay, potential fixes. Let's save this. This is gold. Oh, what's all this? All right, I have to come back later for that. See, there's already a section for cicada. Bam. Okay. I think also let's put this. Now I'm getting distracted. I need to stay on my original thought. Okay. Requirements. When pushing a block through a rail and destroying it, you should respawn immediately. Okay. Don't use an extra player step. Don't count the push as a player step. In a way that would break, that would allow waiting in place. In fact, I won't say this because that's a bad requirement. It's already closing off possibilities. I'll just say what the end result is that I want. Don't allow player to wait in place by pushing against a rail. Okay. First solution. I don't like this one, but I just gotta write it down, get it off my brain. Pass a flag param from oh god, I gotta pass it through such a number of functions. I hate it. From piece walk push till where was the last? Push till push flat and push. God damn it. That's a horrible one. Horrible solution. Changes if wait one step for birth. Let's see. Wait one step for birth. God awful. It kind of destroys the separation of concerns too. Alright, let's come up with something else. Anything besides that. Is there something else I could check more cleanly inside of push and push flat? I gotta brainstorm a bit here. So I'll write some stuff that is maybe bad, but in push flat and push if player call row is. That won't work though. That won't work. Check if player is blocked from movement. There's not enough information inside of that function to be able to tell that. That's even worse than the first idea. I can't even write it out. Okay, so the other way to do it would be piece walk check effects for anything. This is starting to sound good. For anything that died, let's see now. In Peace Walk, if player was blocked, then let me just write it the stupid way first and I'll try to tighten it up. Then update the rebirth data structures so things are born earlier. It's not great. It's not great. It's probably practical. Okay, but the difference it can't be all the different game elements though, because if you kill, if a beard dies because he walked onto a spike, had nothing to do with you shoving that beard, and then you push against an obstacle which doesn't count as a step, the beard should not be reborn. That would be weird. Okay. Number 3. If you touch something and change the board, it does count as a step. This might be the high road right here. This might be the most intuitive way to handle it. Because you'd say, just bumping into an obstacle does not count as a step. But if you are actually able to do something by pushing against an obstacle, that is an action that you're truly taking as the player. It counts as a step, and there's a sort of universality to it. It's intuitive, it's general rules. Like the world has physics, it's not all special cased around this and that. So if you're able to make some effect on the world, it counts as a step. What is the facility by which I say something is a step or not? I think it's returning true or false. Okay. What happens? Okay, what happens if I do this? Oh, before I make these changes, I'm gonna save some shit. Good status. This next change I'm gonna make feels like something I may want to revert, so I did a commit right there. So if I return true, that counts as a step. Return not blocked, or okay. Just write this definition of what the return value is, so I'm just clear on it. Return true if the player changed the board state. False if not. Let me try that. Oh, it's going to be hard work to Let's just do it.
Why are people standing up there?
Oh, also, I'm just noting that nothing's broken yet. Let's slow down. Check out what's going on.
Finished.
Whoa, how did you do that?
You were watching me the whole time. Bye, all. I'll leave the bridge up if anyone else wants to go.
No.
Nice. Fuck. Well, I quite like that. I think I fixed it. Fixed the fuck out of it. This is perfect. I got a blackjack. I got exactly the right amount of work done tonight. I didn't take more than I can handle in one session. I didn't fix just all the wimpy bugs. I got like some good medium-sized bugs done. Some with high impact too. This last one was as far as impact goes, it was pretty small. Like, not too many people are going to be concerned about it. It's a fit and finish thing though. So fixed, not bad. One small bug and 3 medium-sized bugs fixed. The small one was actually just a confirmation that the bug wasn't present anymore. Okay, so I am kind of curious. Can I... how I can do just a count of how many bugs are left over. Anyways, that'd be another problem to solve tonight. I don't want to do it. But yeah, it'd be good to just have a count someplace that says how many bugs are left. But, you know, there's not too many. So, let's see, 68 minus 1. I fixed 1 last night. I fixed 4, and there was a duplicate 5 today. So, yeah, so 68 down 6 to 62. And the month is yet young. Or this month is getting on in its age, but December hasn't even started yet. So I feel like I'm on track. I feel like this is all quite manageable. These are all the bugs that popped up over several months of testing. I'm sure I will introduce some more bugs as I just fix these ones. But it's not like you fix 10 bugs and you create 10 bugs. At least I don't. I'll fix 10 bugs and I'll create one. And then maybe if I fix 100 bugs, I'll end up with 10 bugs left over, and I'll fix those 10 bugs and I'll make one more bug, you know, something like that. So eventually it burns down to 0. And this count of bugs is probably pretty close to the actual number of bugs in the game, because we've been on it for several months now. At least the same order of magnitude. Okay, this is a great time to stop the stream, fresh off the heels of a glorious victory. And if anyone has been hanging out, lurking, I always appreciate your silent company. If you like chatting later, that's cool too. Or if you watch this on video, I hope you enjoyed the video. So, catch you later. Stopping the stream now.